Welcome back to the Delivering More platform, folks. I'm your host, Ben Alkire. Thank you so much for consuming the content morning, afternoon, and evening. We appreciate it. As always, if you could, hit that subscribe button down below. That's going to help us out more than you could ever know. I have another wonderful episode of the Delivering More podcast to bring to you folks today. I have with us an Ivy League graduate from Dartmouth College, a recipient of his MBA from Stanford University, and most well-known as the CEO and founder of Thanx, the leading loyalty and guest engagement platform in the restaurant industry. Welcome to Delivering More, Zach Goldstein.
Nice to be here. Thanks, Ben.
Of course, man. I'm very appreciative of your time. I know you're a busy guy, CEO and founder. That founder life, that calendar, it's got to be pretty packed up.
It is, and I have a 5-month-old, so that adds a little bit to the calendar as well.
Wow, that is amazing to hear. Happy dad, happy wife, happy life, happy wife, happy life. I believe they say how is life since the newborn?
Oh, it's been great, but yes, a lot to juggle.
Awesome. I appreciate you sharing that information with the viewership at home, on the road, wherever they may be, and myself. Where are you these days? East Coast, West Coast? Where are you staying?
I'm in San Francisco.
Okay. The startup hub. I just had a driver spotlight with a driver from San Francisco. I think it just released a week or so ago. That was a great conversation. I know he enjoys his time out there and loves the environment out there. What do you think about San Francisco in terms of culture, the buildings, the restaurant industry, things that you have going on out there?
Yeah, all's well. I'd say I think the offices are not quite as full as they once were, as a lot of companies are working remotely, ourselves included, but the city's flourishing right now. Everything's great. Restaurant scene is as good as ever.
Hell yeah. I actually have a really good close friend, a good buddy out there in San Francisco. He's a air traffic controller out there at one of the airports. I had a flight booked actually to come out to San Francisco a couple months ago at the end of February. Some things came up where I had to cancel. So I've never been to California, so I am hoping to get out there sometime this year, hopefully. So maybe if I get out to San Fran, we'll be able to book some time to meet face to face here in the coming months or later on in 2024.
Sounds good.
We are obviously here to talk about Thanx, the leading loyalty and guest engagement platform in the restaurant industry. An absolute amazing product you and your team have built there. I do want to get a little bit of background on you first, though, if you don't mind. The most obvious place to start: the Ivy League graduate, Dartmouth College in 2006. An absolutely astounding accomplishment for you yourself. First question being, when did you know that step in further education was going to be the route for you, and how early on did you know that Ivy League was an option? Was it always a dream to get to the East Coast and attend one of those universities?
Honestly, I grew up in Sacramento, California, and I think I chose the school that was the furthest away from home. So take from that what you will. Dartmouth is up there in the northern parts of New Hampshire, quite isolated, and an excellent place to spend 4 years. A lot of fun and great learning, but freezing cold. So I'm happy to be back in California.
Yeah, I can believe that the East Coast, the Midwest, definitely have its benefits, have its pitfalls. I am a lifelong Ohio native, so I'm well aware of the climate out here. I believe we're getting through. People call it Fool's Spring, I believe, is what we're getting through now or currently in. So hopefully that warm weather is on the horizon and coming very soon. I do want to continue outside of Dartmouth College. You navigate to a company called Bain & Company as a consultant. And then I believe you leave to then obtain your MBA from Stanford University. I believe that's the timeline. It could be a little mixed up there. I'm a little unsure of that timeline. But why the route to join the corporate lifestyle and then exit to then further your education? What was the plan there, and what was the thought process behind all of that?
Yeah, being a consultant is an incredible education in and of itself. I was exposed to some of the best companies in the world. It's actually when I was at Bain that I spent fair amount of time in the restaurant retail world with a number of struggling businesses, and often there was a theme that those businesses really didn't have a good understanding of customer lifetime value and how to drive repeat purchasing. They weren't capturing or utilizing data very effectively. They were kind of operating as an operating business and a marketing engine, but not a data-driven business. And that was one of the things we helped with at Bain. And ultimately, that was one of the observations many years later that led to starting Thanx. If restaurants are going to struggle with that, we have to make it easier for them to know their guests and build personal relationships. I think the foundation that I got at business school built on that, but you can't learn in school what it actually takes to run a business. And so working closely when I was at Bain, and then ultimately building and talking to customers, I think before launching Thanx over the years and doing research and things, we probably, myself and some of the early team, we probably talked to hundreds of restaurant and small business operators to try to hone our approach. And that ultimately was just as powerful, if not more valuable, to the business school experience as we ultimately went on to build Thanx to what it is today.
It's an absolutely amazing journey, going West Coast to East Coast, all the way back to West Coast, Sacramento, where you mentioned you were from, moving back home, a little closer to home. I imagine has to be fairly nice, a good feeling, especially with a newborn. Get a little help from the family when you need it. A similarity I thought there was, interestingly enough, between Thanx and Deliver That, both being startups fairly recently, but being products that seemingly were in the right place at the right time, right? As of late, loyalty and guest experience is this massive buzzword in the restaurant industry, right? It's all people want to talk about. It's all people want to focus on and try to strive to get better and make the restaurant stand out from the crowd, right? But Thanx was actually begun in 2012, right? So over a decade ago at this point in time. So you've been building and building and building to the point you are now to have this brand name within this industry. And I find it interesting because post-COVID, similarly at Deliver That, catering wasn't this massive investment restaurants were taking on. It wasn't this focal point as it now is once delivery becomes a massive necessity. And similarly, loyalty and guest experience over the past year, couple years or so, is now this massive focal point in the restaurant industry. So I wanted to first present that to you and then also ask, was the iteration of Thanx as it is now what you initially had in mind and imagined when you undertook this startup journey?
Yeah, the vision of helping brands understand their best customers, know where their revenue is coming from, and personalize interactions with those guests when they're not at the restaurant, that is unchanged from the very beginning. The market has changed. I think we were innovating in a number of ways that weren't highly in demand 6-7 years ago. Brands did not think they needed a loyalty program. Some had one, and those were really just trying to check the box on a buy X, get Y type loyalty program. And that was never our vision as a business. But if all you're trying to do is check the box on buy X, get Y, and just give out as many discounts as you can, you don't ultimately need a super sophisticated platform. And that is where most of the attention in the industry went. What's changed has largely been that with COVID and the acceleration of digital in the restaurant industry, not only do you have to think more about delivery, of course, and you have to think more about first-party digital so that you're not losing all your customers to third-party, but you need a reason for customers to come to you. And we've seen this in other industries. We've seen this in travel. We've seen this in hotels. That's where a loyalty program becomes mission critical. And so the leap that's really happened in the last, I'd say 4 years, is loyalty programs in the restaurant industry, probably everything outside of white tablecloth, have become absolutely mission critical to succeed in this digital battleground. And if everyone's launching or has a loyalty program and everyone's program is the same buy X, get Y, it's useless. And so suddenly we were really well positioned, as you described, because we have a far more configurable, data-driven, less discount dependent approach to loyalty than what the industry had been seeing for the last 10 years. And that's why we're replacing a lot of legacy loyalty implementations who are looking for more modern data portability, a more flexible loyalty structure that's not so tied to discounts and has ways to reward status and exclusivity, and ultimately ease of use. Because the other thing that's happened over the last couple of years has been real pressure on costs in the industry. And so marketing teams are lean and they need tools that are easy to use, not a real thorn in their side.
What about in terms of, you mentioned your product and platform isn't necessarily rewards based or discount based, but what is there besides that for those unaware what your product can do and what it offers? How does your product interact with the consumers for these restaurants that you're partnering with?
So part of it is that you need choice. All your consumers are different, and to treat them with one size fits all is a mistake with a loyalty program or any form of marketing. And so programs need to be dynamic, they need to change, and they need to offer choice. The other element is that discounts are an important tool. Incentives to come in, they absolutely work, but they need to be one tool in your toolkit, not the entirety of your toolkit. And so, for instance, we've seen brands that are discount-focused loyalty programs where they're giving away, when you add it all up, 10, 15, 20% of revenue that they've driven through loyalty back in the form of a discount. That's pretty killer on your margin. And we've found that it's not necessary, actually. One of the results that we've seen for several brands is offering exclusivity can actually be more attractive in many cases to the guests. So one example, offer a secret menu where you give customers early access to an LTO or exclusive access to a flavor of one item that you don't offer to your general menu. Now, lots of folks would say, well, we spent all this time innovating. We want to open that up and we want to drive traffic. But it turns out that for the right brand, access to a hidden menu can perform better in terms of driving revenue than giving a discount. And so now you've created something that's unique, that rewards your top customers, that makes them feel special, and that drives them to come in and spend full price without a discount. That's really quite valuable, and has kind of changed the dynamic of a loyalty program, flipped it on its head. You don't have to give money to someone in order to get them to spend. You can actually give them the excitement of exclusivity, and that's what's going to be more valuable to your top customers.
I actually find that very intriguing and very interesting that you brought that up. Anecdotally, Taco Bell is one of the mobile apps and mobile ordering I use, my guilty pleasure most often, maybe once a week or so. But they just rolled out their new Cantina chicken products, and I believe it's if you use the mobile app, maybe if you're in a certain tier through the reward system, but you were given early access to the Cantina chicken menu. I've already self-subjected myself to 2, 3, 4, 5 of those items already, possibly. Very good. Great job by Taco Bell. But I think it's super interesting going down that route where by guests that have shown you loyalty, by coming back and consuming your product week over week, month over month, whatever it may be, you are now reciprocating that loyalty and giving them an experience where they now feel, in the in crowd, or like simply put enough, you're giving them loyalty to put the pin on the head there, nail on the head. You're showing loyalty to your consumers for the fact that they've shown you loyalty in return. So I think that's super interesting.
That's exactly right. One of the other dynamics that's emerging, it's just historically been too difficult to personalize your marketing. So most restaurants send the same message to everyone, often via email, and then they pat themselves on the back for strong open rates. But at the end of the day, open rates don't translate to revenue. What we have seen directly translates to revenue is segmenting customers based on their spending behavior, sending different messages and different marketing to those customers with higher relevance. And doing that type of A/B testing, doing that type of segmentation has been really burdensome in this industry for a long time. One of our roles at Thanx is to make that so that that's really easy to do. We automatically generate segments based on clusters of behavior that are predictive. We help you see whether an A, B, C test, which thing drove revenue compared to the cost. And all of that makes marketers that work with Thanx smarter over time because they have more data and more information to work with. You just don't get that when you send the, hey, it's $5 off on Tuesday to 700,000 people in your email database, and then cross your fingers and hope those people come in.
And you know what that feels like to me is like the paper coupons that you would get in the mail growing up, or unfortunately you still get them, I believe, but it's like the $30, you dine in, you spend $30, you get $5 off. I think for me as a consumer and a customer, it just never made a whole lot of sense to me. I just never felt like that kind of stuff worked out in the customer's favor, spending so much and getting so little back. But that's just my opinion. But in 2024, Thanx is now a household name in the restaurant industry. Thousands of customers, most notably Olo, Toast, Mo Betta's, and Big Chicken, to name a few. Big Chicken now a massive name, up and coming. I would consider them still up and coming in the restaurant industry, but have gotten a massive pop over the past year or so. But what I think we could find a little bit more, dig a little bit more into, and the introspective route, asking you a little bit more about the journey of the startup and finding out a little bit more about how the earliest days of building Thanx were, and if you're building this in 2012 and now it's post 2020 that these loyalty and guest experience and engagement platforms are really a necessity and what people are looking for to help build the restaurant concepts. What was that like in the earliest day, kind of being something that maybe felt at the time ahead of your time, or something that people weren't necessarily seeking out or looking for? They didn't even see the vision of what you were building early on. What were the earliest days selling this product like?
I tell founders all the time that you have to be irrationally passionate about what you're working on, because the journey of being a founder is really difficult. Another way I often think about it is, at any given moment, something's more likely to be going wrong than going right. Now, when the things go right, they happen in ways that really transform the business. The next big customer, the next big product release. Those things are really exciting and they're step functions for the business. But on any given day, something is going wrong. We're a much larger company now, and I still see some inklings of that, but luckily, as you get bigger, some of that gets insulated because I'm surrounded by a team of incredible people, and so that helps. That challenge is made even harder when selling to restaurants who, for good reason, have been nervous about technology. Technology is a cost in a already tight cost model. Frankly, the initial exposure to technology for most restaurants has been point of sale, and point of sale has rarely been a good, innovative partner to restaurants. We're seeing some brands start doing it, but over the history of running a restaurant, your point of sale has been more of a thorn in your side than a technology partner. And so I think that's given the technology category an uphill battle selling into restaurants. On the flip side, restaurants are quickly realizing that as we enter, the 2020s, and as we enter this digital era, technology is no longer nice to have. It's must have, and frankly, it's more critical than many of the things where operators have spent a lot of their energy before. And that dynamic is changing. That has been helpful for us. But because of those two things, being a little early in the category with loyalty, at least the way we do it, not highly in demand, and trying to build a business in a category where credibility really matters, that time was tough. It certainly took some energy. And if you talk to restaurant tech founders, that is consistent across the board. Few have broken through. You can count on only a small number of hands the number of restaurant technology companies that have reached double-digit millions or more. And it takes persistence. So we're proud to have persisted through those times. And now you're right. We're an established player in a category looking for exactly what we're selling. And I hope that is a beacon for some of the brands that are still scratching and fighting to build their product.
And in terms of innovating on the product that you've already built with Thanx, a previous guest on the DeliveringMore platform, Zach Oates of Ovation, initially, in my clouded judgment of things, I thought that Thanx and Ovation would actually be competitors somewhat in this realm of loyalty and guest experience within the restaurant industry. But while browsing your guys' website and a little research for Thanx and yourself, I've realized that Ovation is actually integrated into the Thanx platform, which I thought was super intriguing. So I figured I would ask, how important is it for you guys to have built an open API where people can build within your platform and add on services that offer a better product to your end consumer or the restaurants and then their end consumers who want to use your platform? I have to imagine that's a massive undertaking, and then also a major benefit for anyone who does want to utilize the Thanx platform.
Yeah, it's mission critical. I think while many restaurants would like to buy from one software vendor and get it all, the reality is you aren't going to get best-in-class solutions buying them all from one vendor. That reality is true for my business. We aren't going to be able to offer best-in-class solutions if we try to do everything for our customers just in the spirit of trying to get more money. We have to focus on what we do well and really nail that value proposition for customers. And in order to do that, that means we need to be part of this really robust ecosystem of functionality. We have invested over the last several years in building a really modern open API data platform. And that's not particularly common in this category. There are a lot of brands who have been around for a long time. They have a very long list of integrations, but every one of those integrations is a bespoke one-off, which means that if something changes, they have to go fix that integration one by one. Building an open data platform and an open API ecosystem is a set of platform investments that power all those integrations. It allows us to be more dynamic, more nimble, and allows brands to slot in their preferred piece of technology into the stack. At the end of the day, a loyalty program, a CRM, that is your number one database for customer data. It is the single most important piece for understanding your customers. And so it needs to be able to plug into the feedback channels you use, as you mentioned, Ovation. It needs to be able to plug into your ordering experience. It needs to be able to plug into all kinds of ways that you combine and visualize data. And all of that has to be something that you can just flip on. That is one of the things that has set us apart as a loyalty vendor in this category, because the legacy solutions simply haven't done that.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think building the open API in that way is an amazing thing you've done. I applaud you and your company for doing it in that form and fashion. To be a jack of all trades, master of none situation, I don't think it is suitable for anyone in this industry. Like you kind of mentioned, being able to allow people to kind of just plug and play and plug into the platform you've already built, so that it offers a better product to those restaurants and end consumers. At the end of the day, is all anyone wants and expects of people. So I think that's an amazing thing you've done, building in that fashion. What about what you're still compounding on at Thanx and what you've already built? What is that next innovation and iteration of your platform? Are there things guests are currently asking for or looking for that you believe you're building this next cutting edge product or experience within this restaurant industry that over the coming months, years, whatever, so forth and so on, will be like a household staple thing that is done within this industry at all levels of things?
I think we're doing a lot of that right now, actually. And so I want to keep innovating on it. I want to keep making it better. But, as examples, we've rolled out when a restaurant turns on Thanx, within months, they're given access to anywhere between 50 and 100 automated segments that are created on behalf of them based on their customer spending data. Those segments can be used to immediately personalize the marketing without them having ever downloaded the data, sliced and diced it in Excel or some other tool. And so we're instantly making brands able to be more personalized marketers. we're creating choice and dynamism in their digital experiences. And so we are unique in the category where we build app and web experiences atop the ordering platform or POS of the brand. And those are personalized using the data captured in the loyalty program. So one-click reordering, targeted offers based on different segments that someone else wouldn't have. And ultimately, we have made it so that those user experiences, every pixel on the screen can be configured by the brand, because brands want their experience to be consistent with their identity. That has historically required, hey, we go hire someone to build our app. We spend a bunch of money on it. They design this beautiful thing. 6 months later, we want to change, and they quote us another 6-month timeline. That's just not the pace that things move in the restaurant industry. And you need to be able to be more dynamic. And so now on Thanx, you need to make a change because you want to promote a seasonal menu and you're a little late getting to it. You can change it same day. You have the designs ready to go. You can go into the platform and change it same day. Same thing with your loyalty structure, the rewards you have on offer. You have extra avocados and you want to actually make it so that redeeming for guacamole is a lot cheaper for the next week. You can actually do that in real time on Thanx to drive the behavior you want. That's just not something that's been possible in traditional marketing or loyalty programs.
That honestly sounds unbelievable. That sounds amazing. I have a bit of a selfish question in terms of myself and Deliver That and our platforms intertwined. Is there a realm where you think you could basically swap out the customer or end consumer for a delivery driver, and then in turn also swap the restaurant for a delivery platform? Is that an avenue where we'd be able to obtain feedback and send out better marketing campaigns, and within this marketing department that I'm in, send out more advantageous promotions and things like that to our drivers, where we are offering deals on bags and carts and things of that nature? Is that a realm that we could operate within?
So we're really focused on helping brands build lifetime value from their customers. That's our core business. That said, we are a data platform at the end of the day. And so if understanding that Zach made a delivery order through a first party channel at noon on Tuesday, March 26th, and combining that with the data that you know about who did that delivery and where it went, et cetera, I think there's a lot of things that are untapped that restaurants could do in combining various data sources to get better insight.
Okay. I think I like that answer. I believe I like that answer. That's really all I got for you, man. I appreciate your time. I commend you for what you've built within this restaurant industry. You're a very intelligent guy outside of the Ivy League and the Stanford MBA. You seem to be a very genuinely great individual to work with and operate within a platform that you've built has done unbelievable things for these restaurants moving forward, man. So I applaud you again and do appreciate your time spending with me today. I do just want to give you a moment here before we close out, if you wanted to promote your website, Thanx, where they can find you, yourself, and then also Thanx the platform. If a restaurant happens to see this, if they want to trial it or whatever the promotion may be, sign up to the Thanx platform. Where can they find Thanx? Where can they find Zach Goldstein? And we'll get you out of here.
Yeah, we're at thanx.com, THANX.com. And the best way to follow me, I spend a lot of time writing on LinkedIn. So you can find me, Zach Goldstein, on LinkedIn, and follow me there, and you'll pick up my posts.
And I don't know if I want to set this precedent, but he does respond to DMs super fast, folks. Super fast. I was amazed and appreciative of that as well. But thank you again, Zach. I appreciate the platform you've built with Thanx and your time today on the DeliveringMore platform and podcast. Thank you so much, man. Hopefully we will catch you very, very soon.
Thanks, Ben.